Welcome to Realtors Roulette. Join Nicole, Alicia, and John as they uncover untold stories, insider tips, and hidden truths about real estate. Get ready to enjoy this episode coming to you from the beautiful Coppell Valley in Saskatchewan.
Today we're exploring the importance of getting pre-approved before looking at homes. Nicole, why is it crucial for potential homebuyers to obtain a pre-approval before starting their house hunting journey?
So we're asking everybody to get a pre-approval. Obviously, it benefits the buyer to know, what price point you're looking in. It benefits the seller. We're not taking people through your home when they don't have a pre-approval in place and not knowing whether they could actually purchase a home. And it also helps you when you get down to the offers stage, because if you have a pre-approval in place, you've kind of done all that prep work prior to viewing houses, and you may knock off a couple days with your financing condition. For example, if there's a backup offer in place, like you're going to have that extra jump by just having all your pay stubs, your letter from your employer, everything at the bank. And like I said, it's just people need to know what they can afford. And I think a lot of people maybe were pre-approved for a dollar amount before, and that same pre-approval amount doesn't exist right now.
So it's basically allowing the buyer to have confidence
for sure
putting their offer in. Can you walk us through, as a dual licensed mortgage broker and real estate agent, can you walk us through the steps involved in obtaining a pre-approval? And how does that differ from a pre-qualification?
So the bank for the pre-approval is just, a pre-approval can be done like within an hour over the phone with your banker. A pre-qualification, that's when they're going to ask you for all your paperwork. That's when we're going to actually have an offer in place. And yeah, it's just the pre-approval just is going to allow you to know, like I said before, what you're approved for and what you can basically be looking at. And I just think that that's just so crucial. Like, you're going to have any realtor that's been in the business a while is going to be asking you for a pre-approval email from your mortgage broker now. So we know that you're shopping in the right price category, because yeah, it's a tough market out there. There's low inventory. When we're out there and looking, we want to make sure that we're ready to be able to write if we see something.
So when I go online and use a mortgage calculator to tell me what my payment is going to be, what's the difference? Like, how does that work compared to what a bank is asking for?
Well, that's kind of you putting in, what your income is, what your debts are, and so on. That's going to kind of give you a rough idea what you're pre-approved for. But the pre-qualification, the bank's going to want all the actual paperwork to back up whatever you're putting in there. So they're going to want your pay stubs, like I said, your letter from your employer, any car loans you have or anything, just to make sure like that's actually what you can be shopping for.
And do they then pull your credit bureau as well?
Yeah, at that time is when they're going to pull your credit and just make sure that your credit scores are in line. And they're going to do that right at the starting, basically when they get that offer in their hands. And then that's when you're going to see, them look at your credit score. So
can you walk me through a little bit about down payments? Like, what does a buyer need for a down payment today?
So the bank's going to be looking for something that's been sitting in your account for 90 days. You can get a gifted down payment. So if you have an immediate family member, like a mom or a dad, that's going to give you a gifted down payment, and you can have proof of that. That's also going to qualify. But yeah, most down payments, they're looking for something that's been sitting in your account for 90 days. So you would have to have bank statements just showing those funds in there for 90 days.
And if I'm buying a primary residence, how much should I be looking to have in my account?
Well, normally most people are able to get a primary residence with 5% down. Even if it is your second purchase, you're still able to go into it with 5% down. So I would say that's pretty standard. If you're looking at something like with land, like 160 acres or something, then you're looking at something with a 20% down. So I know a lot of people, always want to look at acreages with 160 acres, but they don't realize that requires a larger down payment because it's not insurable. So just something to keep in mind if you are looking at buying something with more land, chances are you're going to need a larger down payment.
Very well spoken. Nicole's covered a lot of points there, especially even, the acreage. The acreage is always the big dream. And not a lot of people know you need a little bit more money down to acquire that farmable land.
So tell me, John, what role does financial readiness play in the home buying process? And how does the pre-approval help your buyers assess their budget realistically?
That's a really good question, actually. And it's, the financial readiness part of it is And I tell clients, you know, saving dreams from getting crushed is what it is. A lot of times you're out and you're looking at houses, and they believe that they had the capacity to buy in one range, uh, and an offer comes together, and little did they know, because life circumstances changed or they bought a new vehicle, interest rates went up, that they can no longer afford that or qualify for that purchase. So all of a sudden they were crushed, and basically you're going back to square one. So it's financial readiness prevents any of that from happening.
So basically, you'll ask people for a pre-approval and ask that their mortgage broker or banker gives them the check mark
Absolutely,
before
absolutely.
even
That
putting an offer in.
You betcha. Like it's more and more common, especially with the interest rates fluctuating the way they are. Banks are locking rates now for 90 days, and it gives you a bit of an advantage when you are going into an offering situation. You're saying my people are qualified or pre-qualified. They know that they can qualify for that purchase, so there is no letdown on their side. And should everything come together, they're going to be with a property that that they have chosen to be in. Um,
So you would say that it's a little bit of a competitive market out there, and having that pre-approval in place would give your buyers a competitive edge
Absolutely,
against
absolutely. Like
if they're
it's
going into multiple offers.
whether I'm representing the seller, whether I'm representing the buyer, it's always nice to hear that we can convey that to either side of that scenario. From the sell side, it's nice knowing that you're dealing with a qualified purchaser, and likewise on the other side.
Alicia, can you share some examples or highlight some pitfalls of house hunting without a pre-approval and how it can lead to disappointment or missed opportunities?
Well, yeah, absolutely I can. I've worked with clients recently who had a pre-approval a year ago, and we were house hunting. For whatever reason, they decided to rent for the year and kind of keep an eye on the market. And now we've kind of dipped back into the market to begin house hunting again. And I asked them, would you please go back to the bank and get your pre-approval updated? Because the rate lock that you had was only for 90 days. And they've gone back and found that their purchasing power has declined significantly since a year ago. So even though they've been renting and squirreling away more money for a deposit and a down payment, they were unable to qualify for the same amount that they were able to qualify for a year ago. So their purchasing power has drastically reduced with the new interest rates that we are having today. So I think that, going back into the market and going into the bank and making sure that your pre-approval is in place and your rate hold is in place, even if you're looking to purchase a few months out, it's important the bank will always give you the lower interest rate if rates decline in 90 days, but having that rate lock for 90 days gives you that confidence that you're able to purchase in this certain range.
And I know I've had lots of people say, well, I don't want to go to the bank. I just want to look before I bother the bank or whatever, but you don't know what price point you're looking in. Like nobody can determine that until you know your total debt service ratio or whatever it is, like the two combinations. And like I said, I have lots of people like, well, no, I'm just going to look first. And when I find something, I'm going to go to the bank. But it's just like, it doesn't work like that right now. Like inventory is so low. And by the time you spend the 2 days to go to the bank, that property, if it's priced right and it's going to be gone, somebody else is going to be writing on it. Like you need to be prepared right now if you're looking.
And as agents, I think we have to know how to structure a deal for you as well. So if you have to sell before buying, that's something that we need to know in advance before we begin looking at properties. We need to know that we have to get your house up on the market before we begin showing you houses, because the likelihood that those houses will still be available once you get a sale on your house is very unlikely with today's inventory.
And back to like down payment, if you're somebody that's looking to pull out of your RSPs for your down payment, that takes time too. So if that's where your down payment's coming from, we need to know that maybe you can't take possession for 90 days because it's going to take you 30 to 40 days to get your money out of your RSPs for your total down payment to purchase that house. So there's a lot of different scenarios. And yeah, I think that people really need to make sure that they're staying in touch with their banker and that they know that they've got all their information into them, and yeah, where can they buy at? Like, what price are you at? Like 5-year fixes have been changing from week to week. So it's just, yeah, it's fluctuating lots.
Anything to
Guy,
add?
this is all great information. So just to recap all this off, just give us a Coles Notes bullet form version of what you would take and do on the purchase side, going looking, house shopping.
Well, I think step one, you have to get real about your budget. Just because you're pre-approved for a certain amount doesn't mean that's what you should spend on a house. Make sure you're considering upgrades that you may want to do if you have to do furniture, appliances, window treatments, etc. on the new property. You want to leave a little bit of money aside from what you have saved up for a down payment to ensure that you're going to be comfortable in your new home. Make sure you're touching base with that banker, updating that pre-approval every 90 days, making sure you got a rate hold secured as rates are fluctuating. You'll always get the best rate available at the day. Even if you had a rate lock in, they'll give you the better rate. But it just gives you that confidence knowing you can put in an offer, you've got a pre-approval, your paperwork's in at the bank, they know what your income is, what your debts are. And just keep your banker up to date. Your banker is going to work hand in hand with you to make sure that you are ready to make that purchase, and then contact your favorite agent. I think that it's a partnership, and you will work hand in hand with that agent. Sometimes you're in it for the long haul. We're not here to make a sale instantly. We're here to work for you and make sure that you get the very best property for your needs. And that's kind of my crib notes.
Yeah, and if you guys have any other questions after this, you can always call the office number at 306-695-HOME, and you can, speak to any one of us if you have any additional questions. But I hope this was helpful.
Awesome. Guys, I hope you enjoyed the podcast, and look forward to any feedback you guys have.
Thank you for tuning in to Authentic Realty's podcast. Follow, review, and share this episode to spread the knowledge. To connect with your favorite local realtors, call 306-695-HOME.